What's going on, guys? It's Justice here and welcome to a new video. It has been a while. It feels so weird to be actually making a video right now because it has been a few months. But if you want an update on anything of what I've been up to, what I'm up to right now, then all you need to do is just comment down below or follow me on Twitter or join my Discord server. There's a lot of people in the Discord server and we have a lot of conversations in there, so feel free to join that and ask any questions at me, and I'll reply when I can. So other than that though, I do want to just delve straight into today's video. It is going to be focused on Runescape, more specifically Solak and the Lost Grove. And what is kind of annoying is that I do kind of have a cold right now, trying to recover. I've got the after effects of one, and so it's not a great entry video again after not making a video in a while when my voice sounds like this, but hopefully it should be okay, and yeah. It should go smoothly enough. So I've got a lot of notes here, just like headings which I want to go through, and I'm just gonna talk through them and let you know my opinion on the upcoming new boss that's about to be released on the 29th of May, right after the UK bank holiday. The location of this new boss fight will be in the Lost Grove, which I have to say looks like one of the best environments in RuneScape right now. I'm very impressed by the design, visuals, the audio, and the feeling I get when exploring the Lost Grove. It will have two modes, 7-man and duo mode, with the aim of duo mode being a more challenging variant. What mode you think you'll be doing, let me know in the comment section below. I think it's a pretty cool idea to mix up the difficulty via a separate mode entirely rather than balancing around just one. It does give players the option of entering a less difficult encounter via the larger group mode, which I speculate team sizes will begin to reduce more down to the size of a 5-man team depending on incentives. Or it allows them to choose the higher difficulty duo mode, and this definitely gives more flexibility for the developer as well as the player, where I'm expecting the duo mode to be more rewarding. But I've never played a game where they've released a boss with a duo and a group mode. Usually it's the same group size but with varying difficulties, and so I'm not sure how it's going to work, and we'll just have to wait and see and judge after release when we give it a go. Alright, so let's focus on how Solak looks. I'm liking the bloom effects around the neck structure and the centerpiece. The size of Solak's pretty good, but my first impressions is that Solak does not look that intimidating. Maybe because it's a wood-like structure similar to a tree, and so maybe that is why it's not as intimidating as maybe I'd expect from a boss encounter. But I am expecting Solak to possibly go through a transformation phase of some kind, where he will maybe become enraged or just basically change the way he looks graphically, maybe for a period of time or for a phase. I'd love to see the bloom effects of the centerpiece of the change color based on what attack he's doing, or maybe in a phase where he becomes enraged, the centerpiece bloom effect changes to a red color, or even there is a particular attack maybe where a beam of light shoots from his chest almost like Iron Man. I think that would look pretty damn cool. I'm also expecting minions or adds of some kind to appear within the fight at some point, and there does seem to be a moat around the edge of the arena, and maybe adds will appear here similar to Dagonoth Kings or even the old school Inferno present within the final boss fight. Again, all of this is just speculation at the moment. Overall, we have virtually no information on the mechanics of the fight, and I won't speculate too much. We know that Solak will have multiple health bars and sub-phases, and that has been confirmed by the lead dev Mod Ramen, with the idea to separate the team and make them focus on other parts of the fight other than Solak himself, in order to bring down the secondary health bar, which at the moment we think that's going to be about 500k from what we could see via the live stream reveals, and that looks like it's going to be split into 5 100k segments. You could say this is additional armor as well, but essentially you'll be forced to complete these other activities before you can DPS Solak's primary health bar, which again, from live stream reveals, this seems to be 8 million health. This will encourage teams to complete mechanics rather than out DPS and just skip them, like we saw with AOD. In order to be efficient with the fight, teams will need to figure out the best way to complete a mechanic as well. It will also encourage more in-depth role allocation, meaning each person in the fight will have a core responsibility. Smaller teams will be doable based on your gear, as well as your skill to take on more roles simultaneously. And this is where duo mode will become the most challenging, where mechanics will be downscaled build, but I reckon the quantity will be similar, and so it'll require a lot of multitasking. I've heard from JMod tweets Solak will be as difficult as a 1000% Telos kill. Take that as you will. Rather than the battle being, I quote, a tank and spank fight, it will require greater coordination of roles as explained above, where DPSs will be accountable for how well they can respond to mechanics. There may even be some randomly generated roles assigned throughout the fight, depending on what debuffs or marks you obtain. I'm now going to move away from the boss fight itself and focus on the brand new NPC developed called Merethiel. And she looks outstandingly epic, probably one of, if not the most well-designed RS NPC in game. The concept art was created by JX Nicepants, and that name, and the character model was developed by Mod Clumsy. Honestly, a huge props to both of you guys. This definitely raises the benchmark for future NPC models, and this is a step in the right direction. If this could be applied to player models as well, that would be an even greater benefit, which I know a lot of the community might appreciate. Either way, with reference to RS Wiki, Merethiel will be supporting us in our fight against Solak. She is an elf and is the sister of Eridthor, whom she, her other siblings, and Solak fought against when he attempted to take the Lost Grove's power for himself. They were victorious, but in the process, Eridthor's influence was able to corrupt Solak's spirit. Eridthor was an elite elven warrior sent by Seren to aid Solak, but he fell into the allure of the power of the grove and decided to harness the energy for his own malice instead of protecting it. I'm expecting some cool cutscenes to explain the lore further, or a side quest or two linked to the fight, or via lore books dropped by Solak. I'm really excited to explore this lore actually, and I'm not usually a big lore hound or anything, but this sounds really interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to see how the lore unfolds when the boss is released. Alright, so 7 minutes into the video, let's talk about rewards. There's going to be new tier 92 crossbows dropped by Solak to replace the Ascensions for best in slot dual range weaponry. As seen on screen, the crossbow contains a blue crystal originated from Solak's chest. Maybe the bolts as well. Upon firing will unleash a blue crystallized effect. That would look awesome. Essentially, these combined with the Backremel bolts will make range best in slot for DPS from my understanding, but that's just going off gear. You have to account for your ability rotations and your personal skill level with that class style. For example, I personally have minimal range experience on this game, and so I know I'd probably still out DPS the setup with my mage equipped. You then have to take into account the situation. In a group fight, you might want a few mages in there because they've got debuffs and the versatility with ancients such as the intercept ability. So either way, range will become even more competitive than what it already is with the new tier 92 crossbows, considering right now the dual ascensions with the correct Backremel bolts out DPS the Seren Godbow from what I've heard, and therefore it's really going to be competitive when these crossbows drop. There will of course be a Solak pet dropped as well, which you can vaguely see in the distance of the thumbnail. The drop rate I've heard being thrown around is 1 out of 3,500 with a 1,000 threshold to half the drop rate. It's worth mentioning that 4-tick auto attack will be removed in advance of Solak's release or on the same day. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the information that I have on Solak personally from doing a bit of research and from having a strong interest in this upcoming boss encounter. I'm really looking forward to having a group fight, and even the duo mode sounds very, very good, and I think I might end up leaning towards that. Not being completely active on RS, it is going to be difficult to get into teams, but I think considering how casual AOD is, I think that has definitely created, or is definitely a stepping stone in terms of creating teams. A lot of FCs were created out of it, a lot of clans go and do AOD, and a lot of permanent teams were created from AOD, where a lot of people do casually grind that, grind it hardcore, but it's such a casual fight that it's not balanced in terms of how much GP you're earning. It's very low risk, very high reward, and a lot of people have made a lot of money from that over the past year. But in the process of that, they've managed to create permanent teams, and I feel like a lot of those teams will be transitioning into the more challenging Solak possibly. And so a lot of those sort of like building blocks have already been initiated through the creation of AOD, so I guess that being a casual fight maybe was a good start to getting more people into group PVM. But overall, let's be honest, RuneScape is corely based around you being able to do the majority of content by yourself. And so any group situation that is released into the game, a lot of people do struggle with it. It is a culture shock, and you know, the only way really where it will become the norm is if it's consistent updates are brought out which encourage team play. And considering it is an MMO, I do like to see that rather than just people competing on a solo level. I think it's really nice to get teams together and be able to compete or just be able to progress together with other people. And I do like those core mechanics of an MMO. Either way, this is going to be a group fight. The duo mode will be way more accessible, but with an added challenge. And so it'll just require you to either be more skilled or learn more, or do the group situation in order to learn and become more familiar with the fight to then move to a duo more accessible option. I'm going to end the video here though before I go on too long. Any questions you have about this update, about anything, any thoughts, just comment down below. And just one thing I'm going to touch on in terms of the lackluster of combat related updates over the past 17 months. We are going to be expecting obviously Solak now at the end of this month, then Elite Dungeons to be released in June. The second dungeon being the one I'm most excited for, which will be released later in July. And I'm excited for that due to the lava setting that it's going to offer. But I'm not going to go into Elite Dungeons too much. There's loads to talk about with that in its own right. But yeah guys, thank you very much for watching today's video, and I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you who have stayed subscribed to my channel. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video going through Solak and the Lost Grove, the upcoming group boss fight in RuneScape. Hopefully it's going to be a good step, and I know there's a lot riding on this fight because there has been such a huge gap since the last real PVM piece of content. So that just makes the expectations and the pressure so much higher. There's a lot riding on this, and hopefully it will succeed. I really am hoping it will. And but one boss isn't going to solve everything which is wrong with the game. So but hopefully it's going to be a good step in the right direction for combat, and there seems to be some consistent updates flowing after that. So let's just see how it goes, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.